Welcome back once again. I had a good 20 minutes break and here we are starting again. So this is where we left in the last section. Our navigation is working fine. We have all this. We can simply click and off. Now we can start working on our footer component. So first thing we have to do is we have to import couple of things from React FC. Then we have to import and we have to import the use form because we have to allow the user to send emails, and we have to import the React icons. In that we're going to import like TI social, and this will call Facebook. Then we have to import LinkedIn. Then we have to import, let's say, Twitter, and the last one is going to be YouTube. You can add as many social icons as you want, but I will go with the four. Now we can come back here. This is what we have, and we're going to simply remove this and let's create a component. We'll call it export const footer. We'll take the FC. In that we have to simply provide the props, but right now we are not receiving any props, so we'll start working on the. Now we have to do the setup for our form sending email. So let's do the setup, and right now you just follow along with my credential, but at the end I will show you that how you can create your account in FormSphere and get your own key which you can simply assign and send the email. But right now just go with the structure which I am following, and I'm giving you my credential which you can use it. So let's come here, let's call this use form, and in that we have to provide our key. So this is my key for sending an email. You can use that. In that we're going to receive few things. We're going to receive the state and we'll receive the handle submit functional. So this is the function which we have to call to submit and send the email, and this particular state has all the method like succeeding, deploying, disable. That's all we have. So we got the form. Now we can come back here and let's take a if statement. In that we have to simply send the message if the user send the successful email. So we'll say if state is succeed, then we have to simply return the thank you message. So in that we're going to take this h1. Let's add a classes. So we'll call it medium text 5 pixel tilt tight. Then we have margin y 4 pixels. Then we'll have max width large, and we'll have text 4 pixel font medium. We'll have text white. Inside that we can display our message. We'll say thanks for sending your message. Pretty good. So that looks fine. So we are done with the email. Now we can come back here, and now we have to declare the menu. So we're going to have two different menu. So let's take this as a form of array. Support center. We'll have the customer support. We'll have about us. We'll have project, and we're going to have return policy. So these are the first set of menu we have. Simply copy paste here and change this to 2, and now we have to simply change this all, remove this one, and let's take that. So we'll say press in queries. Then we'll have the next one is going to be social media support. Let's call it support. Then we can have image and b-roll. Then we'll have sitemap. You can define whatever you want as per your business. So we are done with this two menu. Now we can start working on the JSX. So we're going to take a footer tag, and we'll have a class called bg default 950 by 40. Then we'll have a background blur 3 pixel, and come back here in the pages, and here we have to simply activate our component. So if I come back here, if I go to the app.txt, so here it's commented. So let's bring it back and save it, and now it's working fine. So once you're done with that, now we can start continuing ahead in our JSX. So come back here, let's take a hey, and right now you cannot see because it's like behind the navigation bar, so we have to work ahead. So this looks pretty fine. Let's remove this one. Let's come here, we'll take a div. It will have a class called container padding y 20 pixels. On a large devices we'll say padding x 20. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called grid column 2. It will have a gap 10, and we'll have a large screen, we'll have a grid column 12, we'll have a large called cap 16. There it is. You can see right dark color we have in our folder, and in that we're going to simply assign and create all the things. So we'll take a div, it will have a class called call span 2. On a small screen we'll say call span 1, and on a large device we'll say call span to be 3. So we're going to divide into the 3 section. So let's define our first set of menu. So we'll take a UL, it will have a class, call it flex. It will have a class called flex column gap 3 pixels. Inside that we're going to take the h5 and we'll define our header. So it will have a text default 200, we'll have a margin bottom 2, we'll have a font medium, let's say font medium, then we'll have a large text large, and we'll have Excel. On a small screen we'll say text extra large, sorry, we'll say extra large, and in that we can say about us. There it is, looks fine. Now we can come back here and we can simply render our first set of menu. I'll take menu and we'll take the item index, we have to make it instant return. Inside that we'll take our li tag, it will have the anchor, and you can simply redirect to anywhere wherever you want. Let's assign the classes. I'll say text default 300, text base transaction all over text white, and inside that we're going to have our icon, and it will have this data type because we are using a library. We'll say lucid, and we can call this one gauge circle, and in that we can simply define the classes as well. So we'll say me2 inline block height 4 width 4, and inside that we're going to display our list item. There it is, looks pretty fine. We have all of this, but it's quite in disorder format, so we're going to see what's exactly went wrong, but let's continue ahead. Let's make on the big screen, and that looks good, no problem in that. So let's continue in the next set of menus. We'll see what is we can do. Now we can come back here, we'll take a div, it will have a class called call span 2. On small screen call span 1, and we have to define the large screen as well. So we'll say call span 3. There it is. Now inside that we'll take a ul, it will have a class called flex call gap 3. Inside that we'll take a h5, it will have a classes call. So this is the exact thing we have, simply copy, and that's what we can simply paste here. And let's change the text. So this is about us, let's have the same classes we have. Now we can check this to my account. Now we can come back here, we'll take a second menu and let's define that. So we'll call it item index, we have to make it instant return, and we have to do exactly the same thing. So it will have a key called index. Inside that we'll take the anchor, and we're going to simply copy this portion, copy, and that's the exact thing we need to have. Save it, there it is, looks pretty fine. So it's rendering as well. So this is the second set of menu we have, so no issue we have, things looks good. Now we can simply come back here, let's close this one, and this is the second one. Now we can work on the third set. Let's take a div, it will have a class called call span 2. On the large screen we'll say call span 6, and we'll have a div. Inside that we'll take a bg primary 20 rounded excel. Inside the div we'll take a div, it will have a class called padding 10 pixels. There it is, you can see purple box. It will have a h6. Let's take the class, we'll say margin bottom 4 pixels, text extra large, text white. Inside this we'll say news letter. There it is. Now we can come here, we'll take a p, it will have a class called text default 200, margin bottom 6, text basis, font medium. Inside that we can display our short descriptions. We'll say sign up and receive the latest tips There it is. Now we can simply come here. We'll take a form. Let's remove this action. It will have a on submit, and we're going to simply attach the function of our forms pair. So we already have this particular function handle submit, and that's what we are attaching. So now it will have the classes as well. So we can call it margin bottom 6 space y2. Inside that, we'll take a label and we can call it email. It will have a class called text base text white. Inside the label, we have to call email. There it is. Now we have to take the input. We'll take a div. It will have a class called relative. Inside the div, we have to take an input. Type is going to be email. We have to provide the ID is going to be email. We have to provide the name, and we have to provide the classes. And these property which we have assigned to our input field, we have to give this, because this information will be passed down to our provider, the handle submit function, and it can store this information in this particular order in the database, so user can receive the mail. So this information, this property is important. I'll talk about it, but simply follow this one. We'll say background default 950 by 60. It will have PE 40, and we'll have PS 4 height 12 with full rounded large border white by 10, and we'll have a padding y 4 pixels, text white, backdrop will have blur 3XL, focus is going to be border white by 10, and we'll have a focus ring 0. There it is. Looks pretty beautiful. The input field, you can click and will pop up the some suggestion for you. Now we can come back here and let's work on the button. So we'll take a button. It will have a class. So first we have to assign the type, because that's what we have to provide the information, because we are using this forms pair. So it's going to be a submit. Then we have to assign the classes. So we'll say disable. Then we have to assign the disable. So we have to disable the button when the state is to submitting. So when the user will click, there is a state will be take place called submitting, means it's a waiting period. So at that time we have to disable the button so the user cannot click the second time. So we're disabling. Then we can call this classes. So we'll say over HOVER over. We'll change the BG primary and let's call it to over. Then we have to add this over. This will call border primary over. That's what we have here. These two classes looks fine. Now we can take the border primary. Then we can take this BG primary, and we'll have this end. And in that we can provide the pixels. So this time we're going to use something like 6 pixels, and we'll have the absolute. Top is going to be our, let's say, 6 pixels, and we're going to attach the inline. Inline is going to be flex, height is going to be 9, and we're going to have item center, justify center, gap is going to be 2 pixels, and we'll have a rounded medium. That looks fine. And now we can add the padding x 6 pixels, and we'll have a text white, and we'll have a transition all, and inside that we can simply call it subscribe, sorry. There it is. Our button looks fine. So we got our button, and that looks good. So this looks pretty good. Now we can come back here and we have to work on our social icon. So we'll take a div. Inside the div, we're going to take this h6. We'll say margin bottom is going to 4 pixels, text basis, text white. Inside this, we're going to call it follow us. There it is. And we can come back here and we have to simply render the icon. So we'll take this UL. It will have a class called flex wrap, item center, gap is going to be 1. Inside that, we'll take the dynamic array, and here we have to simply provide our icon. So first one is going to be, let's say, Facebook. Then second icon is going to be our LinkedIn. The third icon is going to be, let's say, Twitter, and the last icon is going to be YouTube. So this is the array we have taken as a form of icon. Now we can simply render this. So we'll take this map and we'll call it social It will have an index. We have to make it instant return. We'll take a li. It will have a key called index. Inside that we'll take an anchor, and we can simply add the classes called over bg primary. Then we'll have a group inline flex. Then we have this height 10, width 10, item center, and there it is. Now we have to add justify center, rounded, large, border. We'll have border white by 10, and we have this transition all. Set the duration to something like 500. There it is. You can see the boxes looks pretty fine. Now all we have to do is to feed the icon. So open this one and add the menu. So we're going to take this icon and let's attach this particular data, lucid. So we'll have the small animation. We'll call it something like Facebook. Inside that we're going to simply add the text classes. We'll say text default 300. We'll have a group called over, and we'll say text white. Open this one. Inside that we can add display the icon. So we'll call it, let's call it social. Save it, and there it is. You can simply come back here and looks good. So we have this icon. Now what we can do is, this looks good, or it looks very responsive. Now we can come back here. Let's work on the copyright section. So come back here. We'll call it copyright, and we can take a, let's say div. It will have a class called border top border white by 10, and we'll have a padding y 6 pixels. Inside that there is a top line. We'll take a div. It will have a class called margin. On the medium device we'll say text start. We'll say container flex height full flex wrap item center justify center. We'll have a gap is going to be 4 pixels. Text center. On the medium screen we'll say justify between. On the large screen we'll say padding x 20 pixels. We'll take a p. It will have a class called text default 400 text basis font medium. Inside that p we have to display our message. So I'll take this @ and I can call something like you can give your, I'll say Solana AI, and we'll take an anchor. I don't want to redirect. You can simply redirect to anywhere, but come back here, and here I'm going to simply say design and created, and I will take this, and I will take this data lucid, and I'll say heart. Let's give the classes called inline. Height is going to be 4, width is going to be 4. We'll say fill red 500, and we'll have text red 500. There it is. You can see inside that I'm going to simply display. So we can simply display a specific icon, or we can simply skip. I'll just try to skip that, okay? Or we can simply add the icon, or we can simply skip. It's totally up to you. So let's keep it like it. Now we can come back to the icon, and we can say buy the blockchain coder. This is the brand we're going to use it, and in your case you have to use your own brand. So come back here. Let's take a p. It will have a class called text default 400. We'll say text base font medium. Inside this p we have to display our text. So we'll say terms and policy. There it is. Looks beautiful. So that's the entire footer component we have. I hope you guys have appreciated that how beautifully it's look. Let's take on the big screen, and there it is. It's perfectly aligned in 3 different components. One is about, one is my account, and the other one is newsletter. But we have some issue right up here. You can see it's quite tilt, and this is not what I want, and this is not what I have in the final design in the Figma design. So this is not what we have. So I know what is the vent. So come back here in the footer component, and here we have this list. Okay, so I can see the problem. So by mistake I put this data into the icon, so we don't need to put there. Come in and paste here. That's the one thing you have to do. Do the same thing for the other one. Cut and paste out of this icon and save it. That's the only change you have to do. Once you do that, come back to the browser, and now it's perfectly aligned. We have this, you can see nice over effect. User can simply select and send the email, And here I got the email in my account. I'll show you all the setup for the email because we are using this particular provider, and I'll show you how you can create one and provide your own key to send the email and receive the email. So it's working absolutely fine. Now this is good. Now we can come back here. We have successfully sent the message, reload the page. So we are done with the footer component and the header component, and now we can start working on the next component. So simply close this one, come back here. Now we have to move to the next component. So what I'm going to do is, this is good. Now we can come back to the pages. Inside the pages we have this index, and this is what we're going to work on it. So now we're going to work on the index page, and here we have all the component which we're going to import in our home page, the index page. So this is the airdrop, contacts, all looks fine. Now we can come back to the index.txt, and we have to import all of these components. So we can simply export it and receive that. So come back here and let's import all the component. So we'll say export home view. So this is the name structure I'm following, and that's the name we have to call to every single component. If we give any other name, it's going to throw an error because we are using different structure. So it's coming from home. Simply come here, replicate couple of, and now we have to do the changes. So this will be tool view, and it's coming from tool. This will be the feature view, and it's coming from feature. Change this to like offer view, and this is offer. This one is the FAQ, and this is FAQ slash FAQ. Then we have to change this to airdrop, and here we have to do the changes exactly. Airdrop, this will be the donate, and this is coming from donate folder. Then we have this home, change this to create, and this is create. This will be input, and here we have the input, and this is called token metadata. And let's remove this because it's an internal component, and remove this one and change this to token metadata, and come here, change this to contact view, and this will be contact view. So we got all the components imported here, and we are exporting successfully from here. Now we have to receive all of this component in our index page. So come back here, and that's what we're going to receive and work now. So looks pretty good to me. What we can do is, we can see everything looks fine. Now we can come back here. First thing, we have to import couple of things from React. So first one is going to be use state. Then we can come here, we can call this type, and in this we have to receive the next page because that's going to be the page, and this coming from the next. Then we can simply import the head, and that's coming from the next head. So these are the three external import. Now we can come back here, let's do internal import, and in that we have to import all the components. So that's all coming from the view slash view, and let's import one by one. So home view, we have the tool view, we have the feature view, we have the offer view, we have the FAQ view, we have the created view, we have the token metadata, we have the contact view, we have the airdrop view, we have the donate view, and that's all the component we have imported. And all we have to do is to build the structure. So let's do one thing, let's build the entire structure for the index page, then we're going to work on the component individually. So let's come back here. First thing, we have to change this to like replace this to home, and we have to use this next page. Looks good. And here we're going to receive the props, only props. That's the setup we have to do. Now we can come back here and let's take the state variable, because we have to open some of the dynamic component. So when the user will click on the create token, we have to open that dynamic component for the create token. Same goes for the metadata, donation, airdrop. So all that state variable we have to define here. So let's take that one by one. So we'll take this use state snippet. We'll say open create model. By default it will be false. Then we have to take the another one. This will call open token metadata, false. Then we have to take another one. We're going to call it to open contact, and by default it's false. then we can say use state snippet. This will be open airdrop false, and the last one is going to be, it's called open send transaction, and this will be false. So these are the state variable we have taken, 5 different dynamic component we're going to have. So once we're done with that, now we can start working on the index page. So here I make things side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. Let's build the structure. So let's work on the JSX. So come back here, remove this one, and we're going to take this fragment because we're going to have a couple of dynamic components. So first we have to take the header. So let's take this head tag, and in that we can display the title of this particular page. So I'll take the title tag. It will have a name called Solana token creator. That's the title I want to give to the page. You can do SEO optimization if you want to rank on the Googles. That's all you can do here. You can add metadata, different thing you can add. And that's really powerful when you want to do SEO optimization in the NextJs application, because it's give you an options to do that. So here we have the head tag. Now we can take this metadata. So let's give the description to our application. So I call the name to Solana token creator. Let's give the content, and I'll say, you can give your, but I'll go with this simple one, build and create Solana token. That's the metadata I can provide. So that's the head. Now we can come back here. Now we can define all the component. First one is going to be the home, and in that we have to send the props called set open create model in this home. That's what I have. Now we can come back here. Let's take this tool view. In that I have to pass all the state variable we have created. So we'll say open airdrop. So set open airdrop. That's the first one. Let's add the second one, set open contact to set open contact. Let's need the another one, set created model to set open created model. Then we have this set send transaction, and that's what we'll say, set open send transaction. Now the last one is the token metadata and token metadata. So these are the props we are sending in our tool view component. Right now it's not displaying, so I can simply come back here and let's take the other one. Let's define the feature view, and we have to send exactly the same prop. Simply copy, and that's what props we have to send here. So this is the feature view. Now we have to take the other one. So we'll take offer view. Then we have the FAQ view, and here we're going to have the dynamic components. So we'll say dynamic components. Let's come in this portion, and here I say that if open create model is true, then I want to open the create model. This time we'll add new loader. So this is our custom class we have created to display in the center. Now let's add this relative height full, BG color is going to be select 9, and inside that we're going to display our component. So let's send all the props. So we'll have to send this set open created model. So this is the only prop we have to send. So this is our first dynamic component, and all we have to do is to simply replicate this, copy and replicate this, and we have to change this variable. So this will be called open token metadata, and change the component name to be token metadata. Change the prop. So this will be, simply select the both and we'll say set open token metadata. That's the first one. Copy, paste here, change this variable. This will call open contact, and this will be contact view. Change this to set open contact. Copy, paste here, and simply cut this one. I remember that we have this head, so and I have to place the head tag here, and there it is. So we are getting this particular warning, and I know why this particular warning we are having, because we have a different name to our component. So the very first component we have is the home view, which is running, but we have given different name like index. Okay, you can simply ignore that. So come down here and simply work on this. So this is what I have. I can simply comment all of this, and still I will have the same issue because this one is causing from here. So no need to do anything in here. So if I make on the big screen, reload the page, you can see our document is not getting the component which we try to render. So let's try to bring it back and come back here and let's work on it. So let's change this variable. So this will be called open airdrop. Change this to airdrop view and change the prop to set open airdrop. Copy and paste here, and this will call, let's say, open send transaction. We'll say donate view and change the props to set open transaction. Reload the page, we are getting same the warning. Now I will come back here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply, so looks fine, no need to do any changes. We are done with this entire home page. Now we have to work on the component one by one. So the very first thing we have to do is simply select all of this and comment. Now we have to get into this home view component, and here we have this index. So here we are in the index, the home component, and let's set up this. So first thing, right now I'm getting this warning because we have a different name. So first thing we have to do is remove this one, and we have to import a couple of things from React. So this one is going to be the FC, and it's coming from React. Then we have to import the icon, and that's coming from the React icon called MD. And we're going to take this medium generating token. That's the first icon. Now come back here. Then we have to import the wallet, which is coming from Solana. So we'll get a wallet multi button. We got that. Now we have to do the internal import, and here we have to simply build the package.json file because I want to display the version of our application. So, and this information is coming from package.json file. So let's import that. We'll get into the package.json file, and that's what we have to select. Now we can work on the component. So we'll say export component, and we have to call this home view because this is the name we have given to our component, and that's what we have imported. We'll say FC, and we have to simply take the props which we have sent, set open create model, and we have to simply work on the component. So we have to make it return. In that we have to take a section, and we'll say hi. If we save it, come back to the browser, reload the page, you will see right now we don't have any error. Looks fine. So this is the component we have to start working on, and that's the name we have given. So let's start working on the very first component. So let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. So let's make it side by side, drag it here. You can see it's 100% responsive for all the screen sizes. Now let's come back here, remove this one. Let's take an ID called home, because when the user will click on the menu, we have to take the user to that particular home component. So that's why we are using this ID for. It will have the class called relative overflow hidden, padding bottom 20 pixels, padding top is going to be custom. So we'll say 72 pixels. There it is. We have space. Inside this, we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this padding x 6 pixels, padding y 4 pixels. Inside the div, we'll take a div. It will have a class called background default 950 by 40. Then we'll have the, let's say, rounded 2xl. Inside the div, we'll take a div. It will have a class called container, and in that div, we'll take a div. It will have a class called padding 6. Inside the div, we'll take a div. It will have a class called relative grid. We'll say grid column 1 item center gap is going to be 12 pixels, and we'll have a large divide. We'll say grid column 2. In the div, we'll take another div. We'll have a class called background primary /10. We'll have minus z index 10. We'll have start 0, absolute bottom, let's call this top is going to be 0, height 14, width 14, animate, and the animation is going to be, let's say, animate is going to be like spin 10-second, linear, and we'll have infinite. So this is how you can add the animations classes. You give the kind of animation you want, then you have to give the second and the kind of method like linear and how repetitive you want. So I want to be infinite, so it will keep running that particular icon. So it will keep making the animation. So that's the black strap you can see. Let's change the spelling to animate. Then we'll have this rounded 2xl. We'll have a rounded bar none, and we'll have a rounded TL none. There it is. You can see the movement. This looks fine. Now we can come back here. Let's add the second div. It's also going to be for animation. So we'll say bg primary by 20 minus z1, and we'll have n 0, absolute, bottom 0, height is going to be 14, width is going to be 14, and we'll have the animate ping, rounded, full. There it is, you can see. Beautiful. Now we can come back out of this div, because these two divs only for the animation. Now we can come here, we'll take a div, it will have a span, we'll take a class called text primary, background primary by 20, we'll have rounded medium, padding x 3 pixels, padding y is going to be 1, text small, font medium, upper scale, we'll say tracking wider. There it is. Now we can take this create Solana token, and in that we can display the version. There it is, looks beautiful. If you come back to the package.json file, and if you click here, you can see we have provided all the information. So you can display all the important information about the version and the version control you are using in the front end, so user can know that what method, what are the tools you are utilizing. So we are using this particular version, and that's what we are simply displaying here. So it looks good. That's the version. Now we can come back here, we'll take a h1, we can take the classes called medium, text 5xl, margin y 4 pixels, max, width large. Then we'll have a text 4xl, font medium, text white. Inside that we'll take a h1 called now create Solana token 2 without code. That looks good. Looks good. You can add any text as per your branding, as per your creativity, but I'm going with this demo one which I have in my design. Now let's take this p. It will have a class called text default 300. On the medium screens we'll say text large. Inside that we can display this text, launch your Solana token all in one Solana token development and deployment. Looks good. That's the short description we have for our application. So looks good. We got the h1, we got the paragraph. Now we can come back here and we can do one thing. We can take a div, it will have a class, let's call it new add css. This is our custom class we are using. Inside that we're going to take its anchor, remove this one, and we're going to simply we'll have an on click function, and we have received the props, and that's what we're going to attach and open the create token model component, and it will be true because by default it's false. When the user will click on the button, we have to open that. So let's add a classes called over, we'll say bg primary over, we'll have this bg purple 400, we'll have a group first, then we have margin top is going to be 10, inline flex, we'll have an item center justify center, we'll have a gap of 2 pixels, then we'll have a rounded full, and we'll have a border white by 10, padding x1, text white, transition all, duration 500. There is a small dot. Now we can display our information. We'll take the span, it will have a class called bg primary by 20, we'll say text primary, we'll have a men e 2 pixels, flex h, height 11, width 11, item center justify center, because we're going to have the icon as well. So we'll say rounded full, we'll have a group over, we'll say bg white and /10, Then we have the group one. We can see the animation is also working fine. Now we can come back here. Let's take the classes. So let's add one more called group, like group over, and on the over we want to simply change the text white. There it is. That's what we have here. Now we can simply go into the span and we have to take the icon. So we'll say data lucid, and we can display the icon we have imported. So I call it image. You can call whatever you want, and I can call it MD generating token. There is the icon you can see. Now I have to display the text, so I can call it, let's say, create. There it is. But I can see that it has the purple color. I have to change this to a transparent one. So let's come back here. Let's work on the next button, and I'm going to simply remove this one, and we're going to display our connect wallet function. So we'll take this margin top is going to be 8 pixels. Inside that we're going to display our component for a multi wallet, and there it is. You can see user can click and it can connect with the application. And here I can see that I have taken this purple, remove this one, and I have to remove this. Let's add a class. So I can call this one to PE4, and I have to remove this first, and that looks fine. So now we have the transparent one and looks pretty beautiful. Now we're done with that. This looks good. Do we have to add anything? Or now come back here, make on the full screens, and I can see there is a changes we have to do in the alignment because it's taking a full width, but we want to have a gap. We'll do that, but let's see everything's working fine. You can reload the page. We have no issue. You can click. It's going to open the pop-up model, the phantom wallet. You can simply select and connect, and you can simply copy, change the account. That's all is working fine. So the wallet is absolutely working fine, and we have connected with the network. Now let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. Let's bring it there, drag it here, and now we have to work on the next section, means on the right hand side. So we have done with the left hand side. Now we have to work on the right hand side. So come back here. Well, take a div. It will have a class. We'll say mx auto. Height is going to be 595 pixels. Overflow is going to be hidden. Inside the div, we'll take a div. It will have a class called marquee grid column 2. Gap is going to be 6. Inside the div, we'll take a div. It will have a class called relative margin auto flex column gap 6 overflow hidden. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called marquee over hero. We'll have a flex main height full. Let's call it min height full. Then we'll have a flex shrink 0, and we'll have a flex column item center, and we'll have a justify around. Gap is going to be 6 pixels. Now we go into this div. We'll take on dynamic block, and we have to simply render all the images which we want to display. So I already given you all the images in the public folder. There, from there we are getting that. So let's define the name, because the directory is going to be the same. We're going to change the name only. So let's take this array and we can give the name of the image. So I say image 9. Then this is the first image, copy and paste here. So if I come back to the public, you can see here we have the asset. Inside the assets, we have this folder. So inside the image, you will find all the images which we're going to utilize it. So if you come back to the AI, or you can go to the avatar, come to the AI, and here you will find all the image. And this is what we are accessing. So we are getting only name, and that's what we have to change dynamically because the path is going to be the same. So move this one. Let's take the second one. Paste couple of times. We're going to display 5 of them. Let's change this to 14. This will be 21. This will be 22, and this will be 10. I just want to display random. Let's simply run a loop map image index. We have to make it instant return, and in that we're going to simply take the image tag. So we'll take the image and let's provide the path. So I'm going to take this template literal. So first we have to get the folder. So asset folder, which is inside the public. We have to get into the image folder, and we have to simply get the path. So we have to get into the AI folder, and from there we have to get the image. So this is the name. I'm going to simply get it dynamic. We'll say image, and it's a PNG, like sorry, JPG. all the image has the JPG folder, and there it is. You can see it's already taking the animation because that's what we have attached it in the main directory, in the main root. So that's the image. Let's assign the key. So it's going to be an index, and let's cover the classes. So it's going to be, let's say, aspect 1, height full, width 60, and we have a rounded excel, object, cover. There it is. Looks pretty beautiful. The animation is also working fine. Now this is the first one, because we're going to have a responsive component. So we want to hide one component in a mobile screen, and we have to display the other in the desktop script. So that's the two we have to build. So let's come back here. Let's take another one, and by default we're going to set the data attribute. So we'll say Arial hidden is going to be a true. So we have this true method we are calling true, because that's the one we have to hide with hide by default. Then we can add the classes. We can take the, let's say, marquee. We have to say hero, flex, min height full, flex, shrink 0, flex column, item center, justify around. We have to say gap is going to be 6. Inside the div we have to take the same thing. So we're going to simply copy this portion, copy this, and that's what we have to simply paste here. We can do the changes in the image, or we can simply keep it as it is, because we're going to have dynamic component, but the image is going to be the same. You can see the image are displaying and we have a gap, but we're going to make it more responsive. So it looks fine. Don't need to do any changes here, and save it, and there it is. So simply save it, come back here. Now we'll take another div. It will have a class called marquee reverse. This will come from downward, margin auto, flex column, gap is going to be, let's say, 6 pixels, and we'll have a overflow hidden. Inside the div we're gonna take the data. We'll take a div, it will have a class. So let's bring it here. Looks fine. So it will have another same class, marquee hero, and it will have a flex, min height full, flex shrink 0, flex column, item center, justify around, and gap 6. Now we can simply copy this one, and that's the one, exactly the same thing we have to provide, but we have to change the image's name. So this will be 6, this will be 10, this will be 11, this will be 12, and the last one is going to be 13. So we have different images, but somehow it's not reflecting. Now simply come here, and here we have to take another div, and we have to simply work on the same other component. So we'll say Arial hidden, and by default is going to make it true. Inside that, let's add a classes. We'll say marquee hero, flex min height full, flex shrink 0, flex column, item center, justify around, gap is going to be 6. Inside the div we have to simply copy, and that's what we have to provide the images. So simply paste here, and we have to keep it as it is. We don't need to do any changes in the images. So this looks pretty fine, because we have 2 different sections, and looks good. That's good. Now make a big screen, and here we can see only one section is visible, not the other one. So we have a couple of bugs which we need to fix in the alignment and the other component as well. So let's come back here, and finally I stuck for a while, and I found the changes which I have to make. So I made a silly spelling mistake. So first changes we have to do here in this. So first we have to fix the alignment, and this is the change you have to do here. So earlier the spelling was CONA, but you have to give this container, CONTAINER. So make sure to give this spelling. Spelling is very important, because this is the name we are getting from the Tailwind CSS, and you have to provide the exact name, otherwise the classes will not apply. So this is the first change you have to do. It's a container, and it will fix the alignment. Now we can come back here, and let's do the second change. So here I found it. So here we have to add one class this is padding x 10, we had only applied. So here we have to add this padding x1 and padding y as well. So this was not there, and we have to change the duration time because I seen that that was pretty slow. I want to make it a little fast, so I set this duration to be 300 instead of 500. So this is the change you have to do, and padding y. Now we can simply come here. This will look fine. We don't need to do anything in here. This is the first left hand section, and now we have to do the changes here. So what we have to do is we have to simply bring this entire section. So this is the section which is fine. This is the one is fine, and simply cut this one, cut this and bring this out of this div. So simply paste it and save it. So this is the change you have to do because these are the two separate components. So if you save it and come back to the browser, still it's not visible. Yes, it is still. So now you can see it's visible, and we have to fix one more in the classes. So if I reload the page, you can see the images is coming down. So now we have to simply do one changes in the class. So let's open this one, and if I scroll all the way down, so this is the first one we have, and like we can come back here, and here we have to do the changes. So this is fine, don't need to do anything, but here we have this one called marqueen. So remove this n and save it. Once you do that, the image will be look fine and it will display and beautiful animation. There it is, and it's 100% responsive for all the screens. You can see how this is how it's going to look on the small screens. Everything is good. Make on bigger, it looks fine. So click on that. It's going to click on this disconnect, click on the more options, and here you will have all the wallet provider which we have assigned. That's all reflecting here. Pretty good. So this is good. You can copy and paste the address, it's also fine. Now looks good to me. So come back to the code. So we are done with this entire hero section. This is the entire home view component is done. Now we have to work on the tool component. So this is what we're going to work on it. So simply do one thing, cut this one and paste here, and let's get into the tool view component. Close this one, go to the close this and close the home one, and here we have the tool, and here we have this is what we have to work now. So first thing, we have to quickly receive a couple of things from React. So it's going to be NFC. Then we can come back here. We have to import. This time we're going to import the React icons. So it's coming from MD, replicated, and change this to LU, change this to IO, and we're going to take the icon called MD token, generating token. Here we have to import iOS arrow right forward, round forward, sorry. Then we have to take this LU arrow right for line. So these are the three icons we are utilizing. Now we can come back here. Let's change the name. So this will call tool view because that's the name we have given in our export module. And we have to call it, remove this one, call export, and change this to FC, and that looks fine. And now we have to receive the props. So let's receive that. So we have already done it here. So I'm going to simply copy this entire one and paste here and simply remove this. Let's remove this quickly one by one. And we have to do the same thing for the airdrop as well. So these are the props we are receiving into our components. Looks fine. Here we have that component, looks good. Now we can start working on it. So come back here. Now we're going to take some dummy data because that's what we have to render. So let's define as a form of array of object. So we'll take a variable called tools. It will be an array of object. So it will have a name. We'll call it create token. I can give the icon. So this will have the icon of MD generating token. Then we have to add the functionality. So we'll say set open create model. So this is the function we're going to attach. So in the function, we're going to call this particular state variable. Simply replicate this one a few times, and we have to change this name to be, let's say, token meta data. We have to keep the icon same. Then we have to simply change this as well. Call set open, simply copy, and we have to change here as well. So it's called set open token metadata. And this will be called contact us. Change this to set open contact. Change this to airdrop. and we can call this set open airdrop, change this to send transaction, and this will be set open send transaction. So these are the feature. Now simply replicate it because we are adding some extra component as well. You can add more feature if you want. Remove this to, let's say, buddy token. This will be the top token, and this will be the Solana Explorer. So you can simply connect, user can click and they can go to the Solana Explorer. And for the top tokens, you can display all the Solana tokens. You can easily able to get the API and you can call the data from the Solana chain and display. But that's not what we're going to do it. So I leave it as an option for you to simply add. So these are the data we have as a form of area of object, and all we have to do is to simply render that. So now we can start working on the JSX. So let's split the screen and let's bring it side by side, drag it here, and now we're going to work on the tool view component. So let's replace this one, take a section, it will have an ID called tools. Let's add a class called padding y20. Inside the div, we'll take a div, it will have a class called container. Inside this, we're going to take a div, it will have a class called margin bottom 10 flex item end justify between. Inside the div, we're going to take a div, it will have a class called max auto, max width 2xl, text center. Inside that, we'll take a div, it take a h2, it will have a class called margin bottom 4 pixels, text 3xl, font medium, capitalize, text white. Inside that, we have to display our text. We'll say Solana powerful tools. There it is. So this is our title. Now we can come back here. Let's take a P. It will have a class called text default 200, text small, font medium. Inside that, we're going to take this dummy text, and I want to simply remove few of them. Remove this one, and let's add a break. That looks good. So that's our title, the short description. Now we can exactly work on the actual component. So we can come back here, leave this to div, and we'll take a div. It will have a class called grid. Gap is going to be 6 pixels. On a small screen, we'll say grid column 2. On a large screen, we'll say grid column 4. Inside that, we have to simply render the data. So we'll take this dynamic block. We'll take this tool map. We'll say tool index. We have to make it instant return. Then we have to take a div. It will have a class called bg default 955 by 40. Then we have rounded xl, back blur 3xl, on click. We'll say on the on click, we have to simply call the function. So we have the function on tool dot function, and we have to call it true. So when the user will click, it's going to open the relevant component. So we have attached the functionality on the root div. Now what we can do is, now we can, this looks fine, don't need to do anything here. Now we can get into this div. Let's take a div. It will have a class. Let's bring it back, padding 6. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called margin bottom 4 flex item center gap 4 pixels. Inside the div, we'll take a div. It will have a class. We're going to have a dynamic class because we have to change the color of the icons. So let's come back here. Let's call it inline flex. Height is going to be 10. Width is going to be 10. Item center will have a justify center rounded large, and we'll have a bg red 500 by 20, and we'll have a dynamic classes. So we'll call it if index is equal. So we have the index is equal to 0, then this is the class we're going to attach it. So we're going to call this text red 500. Else index is equal to 1, then we're going to attach the class called text sky 500. Else index is equal to 2, then we have to attach the class called text indigo 500, and we'll say index is equal to 3, then we can attach the text yellow 500, and we can go with the default text. So let's bring it back, and we can call the default color is going to be text tail 500, and you can see there is a different colors we have applied. So right now it's not displaying, but it's going to display, but our component structure looks absolutely fine. It's rendering perfectly. Now we can open this div, and inside that we have to display the data. So we already have the data in the array, so we can simply take this icon, we'll take this data lucid, and we can call this dribble. It will have a class. So let's go into this icons, and we can simply display the icon we have. So we'll say tool icon, and there it is, different icons, different colors. Now we can come out of this div. We'll take h3. It will have a class called text default 200 text excel font medium. Inside that we're going to take this title, the name of the tool. Then we can come out of this div, and we can take this anchor. We can add a class called text primary group relative inline flex item center gap 2. Inside this anchor we have to display this as span. We'll take a span. It will have a class called bg primary slash 800 absolute minus bottom is going to be 0, height is going to be 2, like height is going to be pixels, width is going to be 7 slash by 12, and we're going to have this rounded transition all, and we have to set the duration to be 500. We'll have a group over, and on the group over we have to call this width full. Inside this we have to display the, let's say we can come back here, we come out of this span, and we can display this text message called select and try. There it is, and looks fine. We don't need to add more. We can add the icon. So we can take this icon, it will have the data lucid, and let's call this one move right. Inside that we can display the icon, so this arrow right from line, and there it is, the icon is displaying fine. So we're done with this. Now we can come back here. We have to work on the download button. We'll take a div. It will have a class called margin top 10 pixels flex justify center. We'll take an anchor. It will have a class called over. We have to change the color to like bg primary and over, and we'll say bg primary inline flex item center justify center, gap is going to be 2, rounded full, we'll say padding x 6, padding y 2, we'll have a text white, transition all, duration 500. Inside that we can display this more tools, and in that we can simply display our icon. So we can have the icons arrow icon, there it is, save it, and that's the only thing we can add here. That's the only thing we need to add into this component. Let's make on the big screen, and beautiful. So we have the header, we have the hero, and we have the tool component sections. If you click right now, it will not happen anything because we have comment that tool component, but everything is running absolutely fine, and we have all of these components. Looks pretty beautiful. So we are done with this. Reload the page, things looks pretty fine to me. Now we can move to the next component. So we are done with that. Close this one. Now we have to work on the feature component. So simply cut this and bring it here, and let's work on the feature component. So come back here, go to the components. So we are done with this tool. Simply copy this portion, come to the feature, and here we're going to receive the props, because we have to receive and attach the same functionality to our feature section as well, so the user can click and they can open from there as well. So we have received that. Now this looks good. Copy this one, copy the name, and we are getting this error because we have to change the name as well. So bring it here. Let's receive this fc. Then we have to receive the icons. So we have to get the icon from React Liu, replicate it 3 times, and let's change this to Rx. This will be the Ri, this will be the MD, and let's receive all the icons. So this will be Liu arrow right from line, this will be MD generating token, this will be right token swap fill, and the last one is going to be not E, it's RX tokens. So these are the icons we are receiving from React. Now we can come back here and do the changes in the export. We have to change the name to feature view and we have to call it FC. So this is the setup we have. Now we can start working on the, now we have to create an array of object which we want to render. So let's take a variable called features. It's going to be an array of object. So in that we're going to take the name of the feature, then we have to add the icon which we want to display. So we already have an icon. We have to attach the description as well because every function will have a description, and then we have to attach the functionality. So these are the data we're going to take in the object, and all we have to do is to simply replicate this 4 times. We're going to have the 4 section. Let's change the name to token generator. We can display the icon to MD generating token. Just add the description, so you can add up to you, but I will go with this one. Start working with Solana token creator. Allow you to create Solana token by creating, deploying, airdrop, transferring, and updating token. So this is what we are providing through this application. You can define whatever description you want as per your service, but this is what I have in the design. So I simply copy this and I'm going to paste the exact description in all this description. But when you will launch this one, you have to add the actual information which you are providing. Now we're going to attach the functionality. So we already have the state functions. So this one is for create. Let's change this to for get airdrop, and here we have to provide the icon. So this time I'm going to get the icon to MD token. We have to change this to set airdrop, change this name to transfer and change the icon to this ring token swap fill, and change the function to set open transaction. Now this is the last one. This will call token metadata, change the icon. So we'll have this RX tokens and we have to change the function. So we'll say set open token metadata. So this is the all data we want to render. Let's close that down, and now we can start working on the JSS. So let's make it side by side, and there it is. So I'm getting this error. So let's have a look. So this is what we have called MD token. So simply copy this and we have to receive this as well. So simply take this MD token, and now the error is gone. MD token, there it is. Now looks fine. Now we can start working on the JSX. So first thing, remove this one, take a section. It will have a class called padding y 20 pixels. Then we're going to take this div. It will have a class called container. Inside that we're going to div. It will have a class called margin bottom 10, flex, item center, item end, justify between. Inside the div will take a div. It will have a class called margin x auto, max width 2xl, text center. Inside that will take a h2. It will have a class called margin bottom 4, text 3xl, font medium, capitalize, text white. Inside that we have to display the title. So we'll say choose Solana blockchain generator. There it is. Now we can come here, we'll take a p tag and we have to attach the description. So let's add the classes called text default 200, text small, font medium. Inside that we can say now you can create Solana token. Let's add a break and we'll say without code instantly. There it is. Now we can come back here, live to div, and now we can work on the dynamic component. So let's take a div. It will work, take a class called bg default 950 by 40 flex wrap, item center rounded 3xls, backdrop blur 3xls. Inside the div we're going to take the dynamic data. So we'll take this features, we have to simply loop over it. We'll say list index, we have to make it instant return, and we'll take a div. It will have a class, and let's take a dynamic class because we have to change. So we'll take a dynamic class and we'll say width is going to be auto, and we'll have a grow, we'll have a border bottom, and we'll have a border white slash 10, and on the medium screens we have to say width is going to be 1 by 2. Then comes the dynamic data. So we'll say index is equal to 0. In that we have to attach the, like we'll say medium border e in 0 index, else index is equal to 1 and we don't want to apply any classes. We'll say if index is equal to 2, then we have to attach this class called medium border e and medium border bottom 0, else we have to go with this default class which is nothing. So this is the dynamic classes we have attached. Let's attach the key, and looks good. Now we can simply render the data. So come back here, we'll take a div, it will have a class called padding 8. We'll say on a small screen we'll say padding 10. Inside the div we'll take another div, it will have a class called bg primary slash 10 text primary margin bottom 10, inline flex, height 16, width 16, item center, justify center, rounded excel. Inside that we'll take the icon and we'll display the list.icon. There it is. Our icons are looking fine. Now let's add this data lucid, and we can call this one to like farmer. Then we can come out of the div, and let's take a h2. It will have a class called margin bottom 4, text 2xl, font medium, text white. In that we have to display the title, so the name, there it is. Now we can come back here, we'll take a p and we have to display the description. So we'll say text default 200, margin bottom 6, and we'll say text base. Inside that we have to display the description. There it is. That looks pretty good. We have the descriptions. Now we can come back here, we'll take the anchor, on click, and we can say list.function to be true, and we can have a classes called like over bg primary inline flex, item center, justify center, gap is going to be 2, rounded full, and we'll have a border white slash 10, padding x 6, padding y is going to be 2, text white. We'll have transition all. We have to set the duration to be something like 300. Inside that we can display our call more tools, or we can simply change this to use tools. Save it. Now we have to display the icon, so let's define the arrow right form line, and that's the icon we are displaying. Fine. Now this looks good, and that's the only thing we have to do here. We have all of this component look fine. Let's make on the big screen, and there it is. You can see it's beautiful. So this one is working fine. This is the tool section. User can click and go to the different section. This is a feature, and here we have this extra home. So let's remove that. So come back here, go to the component app bar, and here we have to simply remove from the array. So here we have this extra, remove this one and save it. Now we have fine. So we have to work on 2 more component and the dynamic component as well. So we have a lot of work to do. So it looks good. All the icons, the data, and the overfix looks fine. Now we can come back here, close this one. We can simply close this one, come here, and now we have this 2 component and the dynamic component. So what I'm going to do is, before we start working on this 2 component, let's work on the dynamic component.